Peace. Welcome to my 1 month and 18-day check-in with no nicotine. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, welcome. And I'm gonna get into this check-in without nicotine. And in today's video specifically, I'm gonna be focusing on some things that I've noticed recently, and starting off with mentally. When it comes to the mental state of being, I mentally am coming to understand that regardless of, what actions I partake in, mentally I can, stay at least stable and strong mentally when it comes to not being dependent on certain, let's say, activities or certain behaviors. Before I even quit nicotine, it was the addiction to nicotine that was greatly, affecting my mental state of being. And I had someone comment on the channel on my 1 year check-in, the exact 1 year check-in, the hour-long video that I released, and they actually tweeted at me the same thing that they commented, well, similar thing that they commented. And they commented on the video saying, wrong, nicotine is not addictive, with no really factual evidence or anything to explain any further what they were talking about. And they also said that, you could check that comment out for yourself, but they're just speaking some nonsense when it comes to that. So I'm realizing that regardless of mentally how I look at it, I still view it as the right thing, because mentally I'm not okay. The main reason why I brought up their comment, not that I really cared about what they were disagreeing with me about, because it wasn't really factual at all. Alongside of that is the fact that they said that, nicotine can't make you have your thoughts in a disarray, or can't make you mentally stagnant or whatnot. Well, you sure that's not the case for people that, and they also said that it's not addictive, so I don't know what they're really talking about at all. Other than just saying whatever they can to have an opposing perspective, which is, there's nothing wrong with it, but the matter of fact that they said, mentally it can't have you stagnant. Well, actually it can, because when you are addicted to something, mentally you can't stop thinking about it. So that's what I mean by keeping you mentally stagnant, meaning you can't use your mental state of being on other things that are more, let's say, right for you to go through, stuff that you should actually be doing, that you are agreeing with mentally, things that are going to help you grow and that are going to allow you to use your mental state of being, and things that are not related to feeling like you have no control over mentally, having these same thoughts every day about, addiction, whatever it may be. Well, you can actually put an end to those mental thought forms by going without, by not using the substance, or by not doing that action that you're trying to detach from when it comes to mentally. So I'm mentally coming to the realization that, regardless what it is, as long as mentally it's helping me to mature, helping me to grow, and helping me to move forward when it comes to mentally. So when that person had said, it has no way of disarraying your thoughts, well, okay, sure, but I get it. There's a medical definition of brain fog or whatnot, which is considered a, let's say, reaction to quitting, or a withdrawal symptom of quitting nicotine. And we're talking specifically about nicotine. One could say that brain fog is a disarray, of your thoughts, or it's a confusion that can be happening with your thoughts. And mentally, that can happen at any time, right? So it's about how you're using it, not what you're using. If you're using it in a way where it's going to confuse you, then that's what's going to happen. And mentally, you got to make sure that even if you do get confused, or if you don't know, you're unsure about something, uncertainty or whatever, that's a different thing. But pay attention to the awareness of and the intuition and the senses that you are aware of from that experience, and use that as a way to decipher the truth. But when it comes to let's say, being mentally not confident, or being mentally, let's say, vulnerable, or feeling as if you are mentally, someone's trying to, let's say, mentally get into your mind, or any of those mental things that happen when you go back and forth with other people. And just not all the time, but sometimes it'll happen where you're gonna have to deal. And when it comes to, let's say, the way you look at that, just looking at it in that way, okay, someone's trying to get in my head, don't even give it that much attention, or give them that, because you, at the end of the day, are the mental creator of your mental state of being, and you are the one who is in control of that. So when it comes to other people trying to get in your head or anything like that, being just aware of that, you're going to be able to realize that, okay, I'm way more powerful than that, and the fact that I can see this perspective is even proving to me that power. I don't even have to second question that or anything like that. But yes, of course, if you're ever unsure or not quite certain, definitely apply yourself mentally, because that's going to allow you to mentally build in that mental realm. And then if you are, let's say, emotionally you don't have confidence, let's build mentally, and then you can be able to, okay, now I'm feeling the confidence that I have because of how built I am when it comes to mentally, how stable I am when it comes to mentally. That's all going to have an effect. So think about it whenever you're doing anything, whenever you're going to change something or thinking about improving the quality of your life. Think about mentally, you can always develop new mental forms and new mind frames of how you view things, how you do things, and what you're giving your mental state of being and your mental power to. And of course, when it comes to, right, so that's what I've noticed. And other stuff having to do with the mental state of being is that you build that, like I said, when you do end up quitting, or you're going to get rid of anything that happens to be having you stagnant mentally, or holding you back when it comes to mentally, or whatever it may be, docile when it comes to mentally. If you need to do something in this state of being, then let's pay attention to it, and let's go from how can we become mentally stable first. How will that help us when it comes to physically, emotionally, and spiritually? Let's see that first, because when you do quit, you're already going to be able to start to mentally gain that strength, or whatever you're doing, you're going to start to mentally gain that strength by applying yourself mentally, and that's going to have you momentum, and that momentum is going to carry out through the physical state of being as well as the emotional and spiritual state of being, and your overall being when it comes to it as a whole. And then vice versa, you can switch those up. You can do whatever you feel most comfortable doing, then just switch it up, do it in tandem one with the other, do it vice versa, however you want to structure that. So let's talk physically. What do I notice physically? I've talked about on my channel before that, let's say you want to quit nicotine or whatnot, and you think it's going to be tough being around other people once you have quit that you think still vape or whatnot, or that still use the substance, or that still do this activity, whatever it may be. You got to remind yourself and come to the realization that you at the end of the day have the power when it comes to physically and putting yourself in a space that is right for you. And I will be extra, meaning it when I say, extra meaning to what I'm saying when it comes to always staying physically protected no matter what. And this means going into situations with the right, state of mind, the right emotional state of being, and then physically being in that right space. And if you are not in a right space, knowing how and what you need to do in order to get through that space when it comes to your states of beings. And physically, you need to know how to move around when it comes to physically, and to always be aware of your surroundings, of course, and what's going on, what's happening, what are you paying attention to, what are you not paying attention to. Physically, I've come to realize that it's very enjoyable to be very physically present in the moment, and as if you're really kind of studying the physical realm and gaining as much out of it as you can by just observing, by learning from the experiences you're going through and gaining strength through that. As well as that's a big one when it comes to mentally. You can build that strength when it comes to mentally in the way of going through obstacles, seeing how things work, seeing how things move, being able to get that, let's say, confirmation when it comes to something translating from, let's say, the mental to the physical realm, or the spiritual to the physical realm, or emotional to mental, emotional to physical, spiritual to emotional, or whatnot. When it comes to that, you need to realize that when it comes to how things are transferring through the dimensions and through the states of being, it's an interesting thing to be aware of. It's an interesting thing to experience, and in a way, your awareness is always able to reach into the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and those states of being and those senses when it comes to that. So just physically noticing a lot of things, a lot of coincidences, a lot of what do they call called, where things align in a certain way. A lot of confirmations, a lot of synchronicities when it comes to physically noticing these things. Physically, like I said, how I started out talking about physical, I know I went off on track right there, but don't even be worried about if you're going to be around that again, because you are protected when it comes to physically. You know, I've been around a lot of times where I could have been, let's say, breathing in smoke, or ingesting nicotine, or just even having it at a severe, not severe, but a extremely close distance from it. And in experiencing that, you definitely gain the physical strength. So it's really just going through those experiences that they'll help to even go through the strength. Well, rather the obstacle, go through the challenge, and then get strength out of that. Then transfer that into physically always staying protected and always being able to push through no matter what. So yeah, that was physically. What else when it comes to the physical state of being? Stay protected if you're watching this video. You know, everything is playing out how it should. And physically, I've been noticing a lot of, just like I said, synchronicities. The physical circumstances that are playing out are lining up in a way where it's pushing everything and everyone in every place to change in a way that is moving us forward into great times. And that is because there are many people that are putting in that physical work. There are many people that are going to start putting in that physical work. There are many people that each day when they wake up in the physical world are waking up as well when it comes to spiritually, waking up as well when it comes to mentally, waking up as well when it comes to emotionally, and taking their power back. So no matter what happens, you know, physically, as long as that work's continuously being done, the inspiration will last forever. That fire will burn, and those who are inspired by that will carry that torch. So continue on that path regardless of what we can see physically, and continue on putting in that physical work. Quick intermission here. Yeah, guys, when it comes to physically, put the right foods in your body and you'll feel as good as you did if you're replacing, you know, something that was toxic towards your health, you will feel that bad. You'll feel that positive action when it comes to the cause it has on your physical vessel. You'll realize that, hey, this is helping. Hey, this is healthy. Hey, what I'm taking in is actually causing my health to become better rather than degrading your health in any way. When it comes to emotionally, can't stress this enough. Gotta always be emotionally aware. Gotta always be, emotionally mature. If you feel some type of way, or you emotionally have, this sense, you emotionally intuitively know something, you have to be the emotionally mature one to say, hey, am I gonna express this, or am I not gonna express this? You gotta realize that we live in a world where we're gonna be around others are gonna be around us, and it's best when we are emotionally strong. That way, when we interact with other people, we can easily get along with each other. Even if something happens bad, there's a mental argument mentally. Even if something happens physically where, let's say a circumstance happens where not everything can come to fruition when it comes to physically, or a specific party exits and another specific party and or all people that are involved in all people involved in that situation, something happens where, okay, physically things weren't able to come to fruition. Everyone knew though that each one there was striving to be the best and strongest version of themselves. So when it comes to that, whether it be something like that, let's say emotionally, someone feels like something happened and the other one feels like that didn't happen. Or let's say discourse, where one person feels this way, another person feels another way, and they have an opposing feeling. Let's say when it comes to these circumstances, we can all be, emotionally strong for ourselves, and therefore we can be emotionally strong for others. So if anything happens, there's, let's say, an altercation or whatnot, whatever it may be, if you're emotionally strong, you'll be able to get through that. And you know this because you've done it before and you've gotten this far, so you can always gain that emotional strength to be able to get through things, even if it's the toughest thing that you've had to deal with, even if it's something that, you have any emotions that you want to run away from or anything like that. No, get through that. Be strong enough when it comes to emotionally. Therefore, you'll gain that strength and you'll continue on growing when it comes to emotionally. But yeah, like I was saying, continue on that grind, continue on that hustle. It never stops. And emotionally, always be aware. Be aware how one can act and how one can react. And like I said, anything that happens when it comes to a circumstance, mentally, physically, spiritually, or emotionally, whether that effect is felt and there's an effect that happens to one of these states of being, or all at once, or however a situation or scenario may play out, You gotta know and understand that each person has to take the emotional responsibility to, if one person is down, hey, one person will help them up because this person's up. So why not help someone get onto their level when it comes to how comfortable they can be, how they can experience when it comes to emotionally and experience the reality that we're in, rather than in a way that is traumatic or opposite of what one needs, you know. And so yeah, that's emotionally, just checking in emotionally. And then when it comes to spiritually, what have I come to realize spiritually when it comes to this? Well, I talked about it before, and you can always have a spiritual perspective because, you know, at the end of the day, if you know you are a spirit and that's what you so-called believe in, then we are aware of the fact that what we do physically is not necessarily going to affect our, let's say, spiritual state of being. Of course, it can have a way of keeping you more in the physical state of being and vibrating in that standard, or around specific things that may hinder you or cover up your chance or ability to have a spiritual awakening, or an awakening when it comes to spiritually developing a spiritual system. Because, you know, and even if you do not necessarily take this path, you have a spiritual system that is, let's say, what your beliefs are. So we know that each person is entitled to their own actions, and spiritually we can all get along when each spirit in each body is doing what they deem right for themselves. And that's when it comes to, I'm talking about higher vibrational energy, not necessarily lower vibrational energy, which corresponds to demonic energy, if you had to make that correspondence. Rather, angelic energy and or godly energy, being able to be in a space that is like that when it comes to spiritually will be a benefit to all that are around, and all that can experience this love when it comes to spiritually, all that can experience this joy and happiness, and or whatever you want to call these spiritual feelings of freedom and of existence that are what it seems somewhere not physical, somewhere not mental, somewhere not emotional, but somewhere where we cannot see, that is spiritual, that is pushing towards these experiences, that we continue on having that urge or having that, let's say, desire to continue on living and to continue on experiencing. So spiritually, I've come to realize that there's this perspective to be seen here, a perspective spiritually to always know and to always gain insight, and let's try to gain spiritual wisdom out of what's happening. And the more that you are able to be, let's say, open to having that possibility, or being able to develop yourself and put yourself on a spiritual path, or let's say, not only just that, but your purpose, right? Why you came here in the first place. And what is your reason for your existence? Right? What do you have to show for your, you know, let's say, spiritual awareness, or really, how have you, let's say, impacted the physical world. That makes a lot more sense, man. When it comes to your spirit's effect on the reality that we all are existing in. And when we think about that, we can strive our best to push the existence that we are all in into a spiritual plane of existence that is, let's say, more beneficial to all, that is more closer to heaven and farther away from hell. So anyways, that was the 1 year and 18-day check-in with no nicotine. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you again for all the support. Thank you for being here. I'm out.